Hey there. Today we're going to talk about ProPresenter. Patrick here. If you have any questions about this, you can email me, patrick@trinitygracechurch.com. Now, this is going to be a bit of a long video. It's also going to be my video, or my preferences, or my way of doing things. There's almost always a different way to do something. This is going to sound funny, but this video may go against what you kind of believe. For instance, sharing copies of software. Do I think we should do that? Maybe not. You may not like the font we use in ProPresenter or whatever, but if you're using ProPresenter, this is going to help you. And I'm really going to start from absolute scratch. Okay, so first of all, if you want to get ProPresenter, you can Google ProPresenter, or you can go to renewedvision.com. That's where you can purchase ProPresenter. If you are a parish that already owns or has ProPresenter, you can actually download it and install it. So I am currently employed by the Upper East Side and East Village, and each one of those parishes has Google Drive or even Dropbox, and you can go over to the Drive, and I'm currently uploading those versions of software here. So you can see this zip file, ProPresenter 5. Now, before I download and install that, let me just make you aware, we have a MacBook that's been taken apart and put back together. It's more than 5 years old. I installed ProPresenter 5, which is the most recent version of ProPresenter on it. Didn't work. It just was like, nah, this is hard for me, and the transition was way off. But ProPresenter 4 works great on it. And I have a MacBook Pro, which even old MacBook Pros sometimes struggle, but it's probably almost over 2 years old. ProPresenter 5, ProPresenter 4, all work fine on it. You can have multiple versions of ProPresenter installed on your machine. So you can just go ahead and download both, install both, and try them out. However, if you have two computers that are connected to the same Wi-Fi network using the same license of ProPresenter, one will not work. How do you get around that? Well, turn Wi-Fi off. Unplug it from the network, and it won't know another computer is using that same license. Okay, but if you want to start from scratch, we need to download and install ProPresenter. So what does that look like? Well, if I open up my Finder here, and I go to, now I already have ProPresenter installed. The folder looks like this. It has registration information there for you so that you can read that as far as the serial code and the username of whatever. It also has this what's called a disk image, a DMG file. That's the package of ProPresenter. You double click on it, follow the install instructions, and you're good to go. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's go ahead and open ProPresenter and get working. So I'm going to go ahead, there's my TravelZoo email. How exciting, right? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open my ProPresenter. I'm using Launchpad here to open it up. You might also go to the Finder. That's something else I'm working on. You might also go to the Finder, go to your Applications folder, scroll down, and double click. And we're going to use ProPresenter 5 today. Why? It's the most recent version. I'm assuming that a new one of these training videos will not be made for a million years, so let's use the most recent version of the software to play around with it. Now, when I open ProPresenter, you're going to see a lot of stuff that looks crazy. It looks out of control, and it'll also tell us when we need to update. I'm not going to do this update now. I'm going to do this later because we obviously need to go through this video. Now, ProPresenter, when you open it up, will be blank. This interface, to a degree, is customizable. But before we even get working in ProPresenter, I want to go over just a couple of things you may or may not want to do to ProPresenter. Actually, I'm going to say some things that I would suggest you do to ProPresenter to get it to work well for you. So we've installed it, and we need to set it up to do what we want it to do so that while you're working from it, while you're working in ProPresenter from scratch, it's always a well-organized, well-oiled machine. So if you are, I'm kind of going to skip ahead here. If you are already set up to use ProPresenter and you're wondering, how do I import a presentation and start using it? I want to talk about that first because I don't want someone to have to watch this whole video just to find out that. Long story short, when you use ProPresenter, You can export the project you make for a weekend. Maybe on Thursday, you get everything done. I'm going to do that today. I get everything done. I create a playlist. I export it, and then it's ready for me to open and start using on Sunday or whenever your church meets. And it would look like this. In my Dropbox, let's see here. I hope I have one of these just laying around. In my Dropbox folder, and if I don't, I'm sure I have someone else. Yeah, here's this presentation for the East Village on 12/08/13. I created that presentation, I exported it, it's right there ready for me to use. So you think that if I just double click on this file, it will open up and be ready to be used. But I've found that that's kind of finicky in ProPresenter, and you're going to find that a lot of things are finicky or weird or strange in ProPresenter. What we actually want to do is open ProPresenter, File, Import, Import File. Let me just do that again. File menu, Import, Import File. Now, look, there's a ton of stuff we can import. You can take a PowerPoint presentation and just import it right into ProPresenter. But it doesn't work very well. You can also import ProPresenter 3, like if you're using ProPresenter 3 and it has your library of songs and things like that, you can import that library. Or ProPresenter 4. Yeah, I am the kind of guy that if you're using a new version of ProPresenter or a new computer or a new whatever, you know, it's like taking the old trash in the bottom of your car and putting it in your new one. I like to kind of start from scratch and keep my old libraries, keep my old images, keep my old stuff, and import those as needed. That's just me, though. So we're going to go import file, import file. I'm going to find that presentation. It just so happens to be here. Open. Now, when I start to open that, it immediately asks me, All Things Renew, which is a song, already exists in this library. Do you want to replace it? I always, almost always select Write Over. Not add the new version, because then you're going to have duplicate, quintuplicate, whatever, copies of songs, or we just should call them documents, actually, because there's more than just songs in ProPresenter. So I select Write Over. And I always select Apply to All as well, and for some reason it always asks me twice. Okay, so I've just imported this new playlist. Now, for some reason, it calls it something different. It calls it 1202, probably because I saved the file as 1208, but the actual playlist itself was called 1202. And then right here, I've got all my media, call to worship, songs, ready to go right from the get-go. So if you're starting from scratch in ProPresenter and your worship pastor, music director, gathering director has already created that presentation, file, import, find the presentation in Dropbox or maybe their email that they sent it to, your email that they sent it to, download that file, import it, you're good to go. Now what we're going to do actually today is we are going to start from scratch. So I'm just going to delete all these playlists. I'm going to get out of here, and yeah, so let's just start from here. So how do we actually create a project or a playlist? I like to think of ProPresenter kind of like iTunes. Here's kind of that, that window that pops up when you play a movie. So if I click on a slide in ProPresenter, it shows me what I'm dealing with. Over here are all my tracks, or all my songs, or all my things, documents. And I use those documents, and I don't move them, but I copy them down here into, you got it, playlist. So I've got all this stuff, this interface, this arrange interface that I'm working with. I've got this little window here that shows me what I'm doing. How do I actually do something? I just simply click on it and it appears. I've got all my documents over here and playlists where I can actually organize those documents into certain things. So what I want to do, I'm just making some notes. There's so much to cover. I'm going to make some notes while I see some things on purpose and I forgot to write down to cover. What I want to do is start with just simply your ProPresenter setup. Okay, every application has preferences. Almost every application. And you'll see I can hold down my command key and hit the comma to open those up, or I can almost always click on its name in the menu bar, scroll down to preferences, click, and now I'm in my ProPresenter preferences. There's a couple things you're immediately going to want to turn off. One, do not enable copyright display. What that means is there's a slide up and the song is Jesus Loves Me. And in the bottom left-hand corner of that slide, it will always say Jesus Loves Me by this person, the license number for CCLI. And we don't have to have that up. We don't need to have that up, so we uncheck that. All of the licensing for Christian music that's played in churches you can play a Christian song for free out loud. If you display the lyrics of the song, that costs money. I don't know why that is, but that's just how it is. So churches have to keep track of what lyrics are displayed, and sometimes this helps, or you think it helps, it doesn't. What we do is we just let our central ministry team know what we played week to week, and then they send it to this company, CCLI, and then the artists make the money off of what we played. So we do not want that checked. Okay. Application data, if you have multiple users on your computer, great. Do you want the media section of ProPresenter to be shared for everybody or only this user? Everybody, sure. Yes, you do want to check for updates automatically when ProPresenter starts up. Library folder. This is important. I have multiple computers where I use ProPresenter. Okay? I have multiple computers that have different versions of ProPresenter, and when I create a song, or a document, I should say, in ProPresenter, I want it to all go to the same place. So I always click here when I set up a new computer with ProPresenter, or set up ProPresenter, a new version of ProPresenter on a computer. It kind of creates its own library for you, but you want to manage that library. Where do you want it to be? Maybe I would get rid of this, and hit the plus button, and in my personal Dropbox, I have a folder called ProPresenter. Here it is. If I just back up here, Dropbox, where are you at? ProPresenter. Scroll down here, and I can call it ProPresenter 5, ProPresenter 4, ProPresenter 5, whatever. That's the one I want to use. Okay. So that way, when I open up any of my computers, that Dropbox folder is constantly syncing the newest versions of the documents I create in ProPresenter. So the teaching slides, the backgrounds, almost everything is stored in that folder. So when I open up one of my computers in the multiple offices I work in, where I have different media computers floating around, I open it up, and as long as I have internet access, Dropbox syncs up, and all the changes are right there. When we're done with our project, we're also going to save our project in that Dropbox folder, or onto a flash drive, so that we can access that stuff anywhere. Great. Important section here. Okay, display. This is also important. Display at the topmost window layer. Play with these settings. You can always turn them on and off. You can always check and uncheck and see what's right for you. Scale to fit output display. Great idea. Enable stage display. Now, in some of our parishes, we have the blessing of having multiple screens and TVs that we can use as displays. When you go into church, you as the congregation look up and probably see the 1 or 2 displays that are just displaying lyrics. That's sometimes, so if you were to be in the band or teaching and you turn around and you face the congregation, in 2 of our congregations that I know of, Upper West Side and East Village, we have stage displays. Sometimes they're called confidence monitors. When you are leading worship, when you are teaching, you look down and you can customize a stage display to show you almost whatever you want. So I'm going to enable the stage display. Now that changes some things. I don't know if you're seeing this on the recording, but it actually shows up right here. When I enable this stage display, it gives me that option of having a screen facing back at me, or maybe it's at the wall, maybe it's a big display with a projector, showing me whatever I want. And we can actually configure that. You can configure the stage display to have all kinds of different stuff. Play with this, have fun. You can also in ProPresenter 5, you can configure a stage display to also show up on an iPad. So there's all kinds of nerdy stuff you can do here. It's really, really great. When you configure your stage display, I can't show this here, unfortunately. But when you can configure your stage display, it will show another window here that says, instead of out, it says SD for stage display. And you can click and drag which display is your out, which display is your stage display, what is the crowd scene, what. Just play with this, email me if you have questions. This also deals with your system display settings. Now, if you plug a projector into a Mac, it should just work. Okay? But it's not going to work exactly as you want it. You have to tell it how to work. This is when you edit your system display settings to be featured however you see fit. This is really up to you. It's up to your computer, it's up to your projector, and how you guys want to actually project things. If you're using a stage display, you may not have multiple display outputs on your Mac. I do, because I have a newer Mac, because I'm a massive nerd, and I've been blessed with one. If you have an older Mac that only has one display output, you can buy from a company called newertech.com, newertech.com, a USB display adapter. It is awesome. It is easy to use. But again, you should just play with it and see how that works. That's what we're using in the East Village. We have a mini display out to VGA for our projector, and then USB, what that NewerTech USB display adapter does is it turns one of your USBs into a display adapter, a display port. It goes out to a TV, and now I'm leading worship. I can see the lyrics, I can see the slide that's currently being viewed, the slide that's coming up. They can send me messages that say, hey, you forgot to wear a shirt, put a shirt on between these next two songs. Okay. Or maybe not. Who knows what could happen. This is church, you guys. Freedom in Christ. And you can just do all sorts of things with your displays there. Now I'm going to go back to ProPresenter here. Down here, you're also going to want to play with this. Notice it's showing my display right there, and it says the out in red is a 1024 by 768 aspect ratio, resolution, whatever. I'm going to go full screen. And apparently it's going to think pretty hard about this, which it shouldn't happen. And you'll see some things change. Now the red line circles the entire rectangle. Now my slides are a bit off because my slides have been designed by 1024 by 768. Now my display is showing 1280 by 800. Now, when you mess with display settings, what the projector is showing, what your computer is doing, what ProPresenter is doing, there's all kinds of stuff you can play with. And it gets really frustrating, and you're going to need a lot of help because we're essentially dealing with hardware and software. The software of our Mac, the operating system, which is communicating with the projector at some sort of something by something, 1024 by 768, 1280 by 800. We're dealing with the projector itself. What is it displaying as? 16 by 9, 4 by 3. We're dealing with ProPresenter and the software and what it's actually telling the projector it wants to be displayed as. But I'm going to go back just for the sake of argument, or for the sake of not having that much of an argument. I'm going to go 1024 by 768 again, just to make things a little easier. And I'll click Update, and it kind of goes right back there. So there you go. That's your display stuff. Play with that. Have a good time. Labels. There's all kinds of different labels and things like that. DVDs. Hardly any of us use DVDs anymore. You can show a live feed of video. You can sync and network and go to these advanced settings. Network is pretty cool. You can actually, with your iPhone or iPad, you can control ProPresenter. I've been some of our consoles, our mixing boards that we use, can be controlled with an iPhone or an iPad. ProPresenter can be controlled with an iPhone or an iPad. And I've had my iPad on the stage before, controlling both ProPresenter, mixing board, showing me my lyrics. I mean, all kinds of different stuff you can do. Some advanced features here. You want to play with these. Foreground, scale to fit. Background, stretch to fill. There's just so much stuff with the display. And then there's these modules I think you can download and or buy that do different things. Feel free to play around with that. So before you get ProPresenter going and working, before you get working with ProPresenter, you also want to play around with those settings to make sure they're right. Now here's a big one. When you're using ProPresenter, you start messing with it, and ProPresenter is already open, and you plug in your projector, it won't show anything. This is not a glitch. For some reason, even in the ProPresenter instructions, it tells you, turn your projector on, don't open ProPresenter, plug the projector into your computer, let your computer realize the projector is there, then open ProPresenter. Now you're thinking, I've already been working with ProPresenter, so do I have to start from scratch? No. Just save your work, quit ProPresenter, plug in the projector, turn it on, let your computer interface with it, then open ProPresenter, and all of a sudden it will almost always just work no problem. Why is it like this? I have no idea, but for the past 2 to 3 versions of ProPresenter, it's been like this, and I wish it wasn't, because it just causes confusion. I'll be leading worship, looking at the back where our awesome visual media team is going, you can see the confused look on their faces, and I just go, hey, is ProPresenter not opening? Yeah, it's just not working with the, quit it and reopen it. You know, the whole, have you tried turning it off again? Off and on again? Tech support genius there. It actually works in this situation. So that's kind of how you get set up. There's way more to go into there, but let's start getting into some of the basics. So we know how we need to store our library at a different place and go into the settings. Let's go ahead and start by just creating a new slide, new project, new document, whatever. So there's this little cog wheel. In previous versions of ProPresenter, this used to be a plus button. Now, a lot of times when you're using a Mac, if you just move your mouse over a button, a yellow little bar shows up that's called a tooltip. And it doesn't happen here. Ah, there it is. Notice right there. If I move my mouse over a button or a drop-down menu, it'll tell me this changes the font or this interacts with this. Just so you know, as you're moving through your Mac on almost any app, that tooltip will tell you what you're about to click on. Now here, for some reason, it doesn't do it. But click new groups, new playlists. We're not going to get there yet. And also, if you're using Planning Center, this does connect with Planning Center. Most of you aren't, so don't worry about it. We're going to create a new document. This document is going to be called Jesus Loves Me. You know, whatever. And we're using this as a song. And right from here, we can say, hey, actually, this is a song, a presentation, speaker notes, PowerPoint. This is a song. Now, normally I just type in the title, go, create, but there's a lot of stuff you can't change here. Since we're using a 1024 by 768 resolution, or aspect ratio, I get confused between those two things. You can click down here and make this certain song, project, whatever, document a custom size, but we're just going to stick with that. And then there's all kinds of templates that A, you can create, new template, or B, are already built in here. We're just going to go default. New. Great, and a blank slide shows up. How do we edit that slide? You'll see this little button here. It's called the editor. Click it. And from here, it's relatively easy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and double click to edit here. I want to show you guys just a quick trick here. If you are putting a song into ProPresenter, it probably already exists somewhere. So you can look at the lyrics and type them in by just simply double clicking and typing. Jesus loves me. Jesus loved me. Jesus loved me. Or you can actually copy and paste. Now, here's something I love. Let me actually get out of here. Okay, here's something I love that a lot of people don't know about. If I open up a Word document or a Pages document of a song and try to select certain sections of the text, if it's just the text of the song from a website or anything like that, you can just select it all and paste it in there. But I've run into this issue where if I open up a document and try to just copy certain aspects or certain parts of the song, it won't let me. So I've just learned a quick trick that I want to show you, and I remembered something I want to talk about that I'm just going to write down here. If I go to a worship song like All the Poor and Powerless, or All Creatures of Our God and King, instead of opening it as Word or Pages, I open with Text Edit. Because what Text Edit allows me to do is, notice this is a chord chart. I don't want to put the chords in there, E, C sharp minor. The crowd doesn't need to know that. If I hold down my Command key is always found on both sides of your spacebar, and I triple click, it will allow me to, you know what, I don't want this second section of this verse. It'll allow me to select certain sections. Edit, copy, or as you can see here, Command C. Let me just get out of there. Now, when I move over here, it's going to save you some time. Heed my advice to right-click or secondary click, or go to the Edit menu. Paste and match style. And what it does is it dumps into this slide something that's just going to work a little bit easier. If you dump from that document or from a web page into here, it brings all the formatting with it, and it's just awful. Now, some people like their lyrics right in the middle here. Maybe you don't. We can do a lot of things. We can go to the left. Oh, sorry. You actually want to select all. And go to the left. Maybe put it at the top. Maybe put it in the middle at the top. Whatever you want to do. You also, we have several official fonts at our church, like Gotham something and Droid Sans, whatever. And if you click over here, you can change the font as well. Now, when you click on the font drop-down menu, just know it's going to take about 15 seconds or so for that menu to appear. I don't know why ProPresenter takes so long to do this, but it does. There it is. And your most recently used fonts will be right up here. Now, I want to show you something really quickly. Obviously, we're not just going to have one slide to a song normally, so new slide. Once again, I'm going to paste and match style. Now notice it pasted as Helvetica again. So up here, this slide, this text is Droid Sans. Down here, this text is Helvetica New, and it's also or Helvetica and still in the middle. I can go to a slide, edit to the nines in terms of formatting, and then I can just click and select Apply to All. And you'll notice over here, that slide is now formatted exactly as the other. Okay? Text size. We've also got some stuff here like, once again, the size. Do I want to title this? Do I want to add some notes to this song? Do I want to change the background color of a slide? I can do that. Let's see here. And that didn't work at all. Oh, there we go. Do I want to go over here and change the actual layout of this box here? I can. Do I want to go over here to this font section again and make changes? No. Okay. So I can change just about everything in this slide. Now, so in this slide or this document, what if I wanted to add a new slide? Let me just keep going with this editor here. I can add text 1. I can add a new text box. Text 2. Right here I can add a rectangle slide, like maybe this guy, I want to put it over text 1. And again, I want to make it green. And then I want to move it to the back. So I can do that. This might help you with announcements in the future or something like that. I can also enable this ruler that shows me where things are. This is kind of interesting. I can add in an audio source and a video source. Choose. And I can put that right there. I can add in an actual movie or an actual image. And when I click one of these, it says, what image do you want to add? Let's just try this TGC Christmas offering. And boom, it shows up. And I don't want it to be that big. So obviously this slide looks terrible, right? But you can just kind of see the functions. And then when you're done, if you want to lock this down, you can. So now nothing. Oh, I guess some things can change. Ah, it's per thing. I didn't know that. So per thing, you can lock individual things. Now, if you want to see what a slide looks like, click on Show. And look, I'm going to turn my volume down. Look, okay, see me moving up there? I've got a live feed of the camera. Now, we're not going to make sure it does like off-site videos, things like that. We could if we wanted. Okay. Pretty cool, right? Now, play with that editor. Do what you want. Super fun stuff. I'm going to click the X there, and I'm just going to keep this slide for now. So we can edit these slides, we can edit these documents, whatever they may be, I'm going to cross things out. I don't forget here. Another big thing we want to talk about is teaching slides, this gets kind of finicky. Normally, here are the three things that teachers, pastors, speakers will email you or send to you or whatever. Actually, several more things. A couple more things. Keynote or PowerPoint presentations. They'll also send you just images. The weirdest one I've ever received is a preview document, which actually doesn't interface with ProPresenter. I'll have to work around that. But if you get one of these presentations, let me just find one. I don't know where they all might be. I bet there's some in my trash. Yes. Let's see here. You essentially need to get it to the point where whatever is sent to you as an actual whatever document is sent to you, or sorry, presentation is sent to you. Let me just get. Here we go. If you're sent this presentation, put it on your desktop. Okay. And you want to open it and get that presentation to the point where it is images. And then import those images into ProPresenter. Now, sometimes you'll get a presentation on this flash drive. You will import or export the presentation as images. Those will also be on this flash drive. Long story short, you turn on ProPresenter, start sending those images. Where do they go? If you eject or take out a flash drive that contains the media you're using, ProPresenter will be looking for it on this flash drive, on this hard drive, wherever. And when it's gone, it can't find it, and you won't be able to use them. So whenever you actually are using images, backgrounds, whatever, in ProPresenter, make sure they're on your actual local hard drive. Delete them later, but obviously keep them where it's on something that's connected to your computer, like its little hard drive, so that you don't run into issues. So let's go ahead and talk about teaching. Okay, so here's once again I've called this EEV teaching. How do I get these slides into this teaching? Now, double click on the presentation you sent. It'll open PowerPoint or Keynote. Before you add it to ProPresenter, look at the presentation. It might look awful. Okay? For instance, I know for a fact that the screen in the upper side is tiny. And someone in the back of the room is not going to be able to see all this text at once. And also there's a big "the" at the bottom. Why is there a big "the"? I have no idea. You're going to want to edit all of this stuff. And once you do, there's going to be some sort of share as images or export. I actually like Keynote better than PowerPoint until it comes to exporting. Because I like how PowerPoint just has save as pictures. It says where. I'm going to put it on my desktop. I suggest during the presentation, save everything that you're creating and editing to the desktop so you can access it easily. Okay. On my desktop, I now have this folder. Oh, sorry. Called Add Week 1. Go back to ProPresenter. Whatever. And I can just drag this folder over ProPresenter. Brings it to the front. And if I drag this whole folder, somehow it just puts these in order. Now these are images now. Okay? These are actual images. The important thing to remember is create the document or use the document that you edit every week for teaching. Drag your stuff in there. You're good to go. So those are teaching slides. What about announcement slides? Now, I have something here called EV-WAGO. We use that term all the time, WAGO, Welcome, Announcements, Greeting, Offering. And I have we have lots of wonderful graphic designers in our church that will create graphics for you. We also have a branding team at our church that we hire that will create graphics for us. If you can get an announcement slide on a graphic, if you can create a graphic for an announcement slide, do it. Because it looks way better than what I'm about to do, in my opinion. But what we used to do is, in order to create announcements, we would create a new slide. Okay, let's go to the editor. Christmas Eve service. Now, if I click show here, okay, does that communicate the message? Yes. Does it look terrible? Yes. So I would email one of the graphic designers I know and say, would you mind volunteering your time to make a slide that says these things use just a great Christmas image, or can you use this image and this is what you get back? So much better. So much better! Okay. However, sometimes you don't have a graphic designer who's available or one that can work for free. So pay them. But before you do that, every parish, sorry, I keep opening now. Every parish has a Dropbox folder that if I go to it, yeah, right here, like TGC EV, that has a design folder, which has all of our fonts and logos, office folder that has all of our letterhead, and a gathering folder that has a keynote presentation in it, because we love Mac stuff, we love Apple stuff, so a keynote presentation in it that has just a generic announcement slide. And if you never open it, or if you never make any changes, it will say at the top, put title here, put text here. So you'll see I can just simply double click. Instead of code drive, I wanted to say jacket drive or whatever. I can create slides here, share, export images from, this is slide number 3, so from 3 to, 3, next. This is going to be an image that I save on my desktop, and I'll call it announcement 1. Boom. Now what I suggest is there's probably a series of announcements that your church always uses. So I have a Dropbox folder where I save all of those announcement images or announcement slides that I create. That way I can reference them from any of the media computers I use and drag and drop them. Okay? So if I go back to ProPresenter, if I open my Finder and I go to Desktop, let me click on Done here. Announcements 1. There it is. Now, what if I delete this announcements 1 slide? I put it in my trash. If I click on it, nothing happens. Why? Because I've deleted it, okay? Just to kind of prove my point from earlier. Also, this slide, I want to get rid of it. If I click it and tap delete, what happens? Well, I can right-click, nothing. I can right-click and delete slide, or just so you know, if I hold down my command key and click it, it puts that blue line around it, which means it's selected to be edited. Delete. There, it's showing not found in that announcement slide I deleted, by the way. What if I want to make, so I've done all these editings, I've also added to these. What if I want to make a quick edit to a slide, just so you know? Let me just add a new one. I can right-click and quick edit, and instead of going to the whole editor, it just pops up a small editor here, which I can double-click and type in test 1, and click the X, and it's gone. Now this is great later on when you're typing in song lyrics and things like that. Let me cover that now. Let's go back to a song. Where's Jesus Loves Me? Okay. See how this is orange? And a lot of these are white? It's just because I haven't saved my work. Command S and you're done. So the worship leader's singing. Notice this tool here, I can zoom in a little bit. The worship leader is singing. They sing, all creatures of our God and King, lift up your voice and with us sing. And they finish the song and they start to just sing spontaneously. The Spirit is moving and they sing something like, we lift up our voice to you. We lift up our voice to you, just over and over and over. Or maybe they go into a new song. Obviously, you can find that song and put it up there. But what if in the middle of the song they start to sing something new and it's enough where you want to put the lyric up there? Or what if someone wants to says all creatures of our God and King? They accidentally say all people. You can really quickly you can just right click, quick edit. Oh, don't delete everything. All people of our God and King, and just make that edit very, very quickly. Now that will change the song. It will edit that whole song. You might want to change that back later on and let them know that they sang the wrong lyrics. Or if they, start to sing something new, you can click that plus button, add a new slide at any time. So this little drop-down menu again, where you can change the some of the formatting of the slides. So that's how you add in announcements. That's how you edit a slide. That's how you add in a song. Let's see here. There's one thing I do is I not only have announcements, but when people are coming into church, I have walk-in slides that if I click on one, you'll notice this little clock in the top of it. Now these are basically all my announcement slides. So as people are walking in, they're seeing our announcements scroll through. So we want to hit people as they walk in. We want them to see what's going on. We want them to start communicating with them from that slide. Is that the most important form of communication? No. We have announcements in the middle of our gathering, or at the end of our gathering, or at the beginning of our gathering. Are those the best and most important way to communicate to people? No. Is word of mouth, emails, text, Twitter? Oh, no, but one of those things is going to hit someone, and it's going to be important to them. So anyway, I can actually right-click on a slide and select Go to Next Timer and select, hey, on this slide or all of these slides, maybe I select all of them. They're going to last for 15 seconds or 8 seconds or 10 seconds. Down at the bottom here, I also have this guy. It is, where is it? Go to next. Loop to first slide, it goes back to the top, just so you know. Okay. So I've added those in. Let's see here. I've got my walk-in slides. I've got my, those which are basically our announcement slides, which we talked about. I've got my all the other stuff. Just so you know, there is, I think this is kind of a cool feature. Let's see here. And I don't see it here. There is a way. Ah, yes. There is a way to be able to show on the screen, for instance, we're talking about giving. So I go to trinitygracechurch.com/giving. Someone says, so whoever's giving an announcement says, hey, we have a way to give online. Let's talk to you about it. All you have to do is direct your browser to trinitygracechurch.com/giving and click on show. And it shows the website that you're currently interacting with on the actual screen, just so you know. Now, I don't see it reflected here. Not sure why. Okay, let's get out of here. So we can show the web, we can show images. One thing I didn't mention earlier is in the teaching section here, and ProPresenter's thinking, I don't know why. Ah, there we go. In the teaching section here, we've added in our essentially just images for teaching slides. We can also add video, just so you know. Just drag and drop, there's a video. Click it, make sure your volume's up. Where? On your computer. Also, this icon here, I just keep the volume all the way up. Now, if your computer volume's all the way up, it might distort out there, so I keep my volume about halfway. And then one other thing I forgot, there's so much to cover. One thing I forgot to cover, two things actually. In the WAGO here, I'm sorry, I should say in the, okay, let's talk about this Christmas Eve slide. And let's click on the editor. Let's pretend we're looking at the announcements, we're preparing for the gathering, and we're getting ready to, do things, and we notice, they're about to announce that the Christmas Eve service was canceled. How are we going to communicate that in the gathering? Maybe we don't put the slide up. Wouldn't it be better if we actually just added a text box? Let's make it all caps. Edited that text box as we see fit. Going to make it very large. Christmas Eve is canceled. Here we go. You can put text box over images. We kind of talked about that earlier, but if I click on show, canceled. Okay, so we can add images to our announcements, and we can also add over. Like, for instance, I have a standard intro to Trinity Grace Church, which is a class we have every once in a while, or a discussion we have every once in a while before or after church. And I added to that whenever it's the next week or a certain date or that morning or evening, I'll put tonight, today, this morning, next week in a text box so people know. One other thing here, if I go to, I want to find, okay. I've gone to this generosity liturgy section here. Don't mind that it's a generosity liturgy. I want you to actually mind this right here, this hazard sign. What does that mean? Click there. The resolution of this document does not support the output resolution. Does that mean it won't work? No, but it might look a little funny. You can actually change it and resize it and you probably won't notice a difference on the screen, but see those little hazard things? That's what that means. Okay. Let's keep going. I think that's about it. Now let's create our presentation. Okay, so, not create a document, but put it into a playlist. So here we go. New playlist. Today, you look at your script. What do we start with? Walk-in slides. See how I just drag that in? For some reason, then we do the announcements. Then we do the call to worship. Let's have our identity slides in there. And then, for some reason today, we're only doing one song, and it's Jesus Loves Me. Now, there's all kinds of other tutorials in your Google Drives, if your church uses that, or on the Dropbox media at trinitygracechurch.com Dropbox of how to use ProPresenter. But I'm just showing you kind of how to set it up and get going. When your playlist is created, you just want to go to File, Export, Playlist. No. First, you have to select all. Select all your songs in that playlist. File, Export Playlist, call it Tutorial. I'm going to save it on my desktop. And depending on the amount... one thing I forgot to show you. File, Export Playlist. Check this off. Include media. So it will save in that bundle all of your pictures and videos and things like that, so you don't have to go locate them from everywhere. But remember where they are, because sometimes something couldn't work and you might have to do that. Okay, I'm going to quit ProPresenter. Save my work. I'm going to quit Keynote. And here's that tutorial template. And if I double-click this, will it open in ProPresenter 5 perfectly? In the past versions, it hasn't. So like I said at the very beginning of this tutorial, once again, ProPresenter 5. Coffee, need your fuel. It loads super fast. I'm going to delete this playlist that we just created because I want to import it. File, make sure everything works. Import file. From the desktop, here's our tutorial file we just created. Open. Hey, all this stuff already exists. Right over. Or apply to all, right over. Always ask me twice. There it is. Walk-in. Now, it says EV walk-in because it stands for East Village. Oh, our call to worship. Oh, those images are gone. We need to go. I thought I was going to save all of our media. No, remember, keep track of your media because sometimes there's a bit of a finicky, strange issue. Now, I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but that's a basic rundown. Actually, quite a detailed rundown of some of the things I do in ProPresenter that a lot of people don't know about. So all kinds of other stuff you can get into. Messages. You can display a message on a screen. I rock. Oh, show message. There's Twitter feeds. You can set up like, hey, tweet your questions to blah, blah. There's all kinds of templates here that you can create. There's this feature called the timeline, whatever. And those are all kinds of features that we can get into at another time. But you can also look at those features and tutorial videos about those features from our Dropbox media at trinitygracechurch.com, or the Upper East Side and the East Village have their own Google Drive accounts. And I'd suggest you do the same thing, Dropbox or Google Drive account for your parish. Hope this was helpful. This is Patrick signing off. I'm sure I forgot something, and feel free to email me, Patrick at trinitygracechurch.com, with any questions you have. Thanks.